I'm Andrew Schultz. I'm a composer, and I write words to my music sometimes as well as writing the music for the music. Text is for me an interesting question because I'm, in much the same way that I'm always sketching musical ideas, I'm always collecting text. And so, on a bookshelf at home, I will have a row of books or other things which have caught my attention, and I've simply said, I'll just put them there because they're interesting to me. And so it could be a book of poetry, it could be a novel I've read, or it could be some scrap of text from something completely different, like a news article or whatever, but it somehow contains something which I think has a property for me, which musically I'd like to engage with. And so that would be a starting point for me. I have files where I throw things in, where I see something in the press, or just actually even sometimes just think of something which I think, oh, that could be interesting, and I just keep putting it in there. And so text is really kind of very stimulating for me, but also I sometimes don't quite know what the value of something is when I first see it. I think I like this. It really means something to me. It's got a lot of potency. It's very effective, but I don't really know how or whether I'll be able to use it in some way. But I just like to put it to one side. And certainly I have got texts and things which I've been collecting for years which I've never been able to use because I've never been able to find the right kind of way in which to use them, or there might be some issue with copyright or something else where I can't actually legally use it. So there's certainly things where I've had source material which I've just had to put to one side and hope that maybe at one point it will fall into place. At times when I've been working with a new text, say a libretto, I've also done that, but then of course you just have to negotiate it with the author. And in general I've got more assertive about that, and will say to a writer now, look, what you said was fine, what you wrote was fine, but it's not going to work for me because I need to do X, Y, and Z, and you've got this, you've got that, and I can't make it work. And even in the last few years, cases where I've sent the musical treatment to a person and said, okay, the words don't work, can you now listen to the music and make them fit, please? If you can find someone who can cope with that, you're doing really well, because it makes life much easier. Because again, also, it's not then just about being, about getting what I want to happen. If you're employing someone else's creativity, and it's this amazing thing where you'll say, look, I can't get this to work. Here's what I want to do. I can see where we're going here. I've tried to make it work. Look at what I've done. I've rewritten your text. Can you please now improve it? And invariably someone will come back and do a much better job, and they'll go, oh no, actually, Andrew, your text was okay, but we can do better than that. Fine. Suits me fine, if people can do that. But so the important thing there is, with a living writer, is actually to be able to have a good enough dialogue with them that people are relaxed. So on the other hand, old texts, historical sort of texts, I kind of feel a degree of liberty in adapting for myself, rearranging lines, changing words, that kind of thing, if necessary. So writing my own texts, I do that kind of spasmodically. I'm always collecting ideas for texts, and so it's not a very difficult next step for me then to write what I want. I think that's an interesting process because you do get a level of integration that you can't achieve otherwise. There's just this incredible kind of seamless thing that happens where you don't have to take someone's words, you're actually thinking of the words and the music simultaneously.